The year 1914 changed everything. The world fell into a terrible war, so bad they called it the Great War. It was bigger than any war before, starting in Europe and spreading everywhere. Millions of soldiers died fighting in muddy trenches. Big empires crumbled and maps had to be changed. The Great War, later called World War I, was a huge fight that shattered the idea of a peaceful world. Nobody wanted this war, but it seemed like nobody could stop it either. It showed how dangerous things get with too much ambition, too much national pride, and not enough talking things out. The effects of the war lasted through the 1900s and even after. It set the stage for more wars later and left a permanent scar on everyone. The Great War reminds us how easily peace can be broken and how important it is to talk, understand each other and work together. The Great War didn't just happen overnight. 4 big things caused it: alliances, militarism, imperialism, and nationalism. Alliances were like promises between countries to help each other if someone attacked. This created a big, messy web. If one country started fighting, its friends had to join in, so a small fight could turn into a huge one really fast. Militarism, meaning loving the military and wanting it to be super strong, also caused problems. European countries started a dangerous race to build the biggest armies and navies. Everyone got suspicious and scared of each other. Imperialism, which is when countries try to take over other lands, made things worse. Countries fought over resources and land, creating enemies. Nationalism, being super proud of your country, also played a part. Sometimes national pride turned into hating other countries. This made war seem like a good way to show who was strongest. The thing that actually started the war was the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, next in line to rule Austria-Hungary, and his wife, Sophie. On June 28, 1914, they were visiting Sarajevo, the main city of Bosnia. Bosnia was ruled by Austria-Hungary, but lots of Serbians lived there. A Serbian group called the Black Hand didn't want Austria-Hungary in charge. They thought killing the Archduke would help Serbia become independent. A young Serbian, Gavrilo Princip, was chosen to do it. While the Archduke's car was driving through Sarajevo, Princip shot and killed both the Archduke and his wife. This shocked everyone in Europe and started a chain reaction that led to war just a few weeks later. After the assassination, Austria-Hungary blamed Serbia and gave them a list of impossible demands. Serbia, with Russia's support, refused to do everything. Austria-Hungary used this as an excuse to declare war on Serbia on July 28, 1914. Then the messy web of alliances kicked in. Russia, friends with Serbia, got its army ready. Germany, friends with Austria-Hungary, thought Russia was a threat and declared war on Russia on August 1, 1914. Germany also declared war on France, Russia's friend, on August 3, 1914. Germany planned to attack France quickly by going through Belgium, which wasn't supposed to be involved. This made Great Britain join the war on August 4, 1914. In just a few weeks, all the big countries in Europe were fighting. The Central Powers, Germany, Austria-Hungary, and the Ottoman Empire, fought against the Allied powers, Great Britain, France, and Russia. The world watched in horror as Europe fell into chaos. At first, Germany moved fast. German soldiers went through Belgium and into France, almost reaching Paris. But the Allies fought back at the Battle of the Marne in September 1914, stopping the Germans and ending their hopes of a quick win. Since neither side could move forward on the Western Front, they dug trenches, long ditches in the ground, for hundreds of miles. Trench warfare became the main way of fighting. Soldiers lived in terrible conditions, constantly getting bombed, shot at with machine guns and getting sick. Life in the trenches was awful. Soldiers were always scared, surrounded by death. Rats and lice were everywhere, and diseases spread fast. It was incredibly hard on the soldiers' minds. This stalemate lasted 4 years, with both sides attacking and losing many soldiers without gaining much ground. The Battle of Verdun and the Battle of the Somme, 2 of the bloodiest battles ever, showed how pointless trench warfare was. World War I saw many new weapons that changed how wars were fought. These new inventions, though exciting at first, caused a lot of death and destruction. The machine gun, for example, changed everything. It could shoot so fast that soldiers couldn't run across open fields. The tank, first used in 1916, was supposed to help break the trench stalemate. Poison gas, a scary new weapon, was used for the first time. Chlorine gas, used by the Germans in 1915, caused terrible pain and death. Soldiers had to wear simple gas masks. Airplanes were also used in war for the first time. At first they were just used for scouting, but soon they had machine guns and bombs. Dogfights or fights between planes became common, and famous pilots like Manfred von Richthofen, the Red Baron, became well known. World War I wasn't just fought on the battlefields, it was a total war, meaning it affected everyone, even people back home. The war hurt the economies of the countries fighting, as everything went to the war effort. Governments started rationing, limiting how much food and other things people could buy. People were told to save resources and help the war by working in factories, growing food and giving money to the government. Women became very important at home. With the men away fighting, women did jobs men usually did. They worked in factories, making weapons and supplies. They also worked as nurses, taking care of wounded soldiers. The war was hard on civilians. There wasn't enough food and diseases spread. The fear of bombs and submarine attacks made everyone scared. The war left a whole generation with physical and emotional scars. The Great War finally ended on November 11th, 1918, when the fighting stopped. Germany, losing the war and having problems at home, agreed to stop fighting. The war lasted over 4 years and killed about 20 million people. The war changed the world. Empires collapsed, countries' borders changed, and new ideas became popular. The Treaty of Versailles, signed in 1919, officially ended the war but punished Germany harshly. This would cause problems later. The war also changed art, books, and culture. Writers like Ernest Hemingway wrote about the sadness and trauma of war. The war led to new ways of doing things in global politics. The League of Nations, the first group trying to prevent future wars, was created in 1920. Sadly, it wasn't strong enough to stop World War II. The Great War reminds us how terrible war is. It shows what happens with too much nationalism, too much focus on the military, and not enough talking. We still feel the effects of the war today. One big lesson is that talking and working together between countries is important. The fact that talking didn't stop the war shows how important communication and understanding are. Another lesson is fixing the problems that cause wars. The Great War showed how dangerous nationalism, imperialism, and militarism are. We have to deal with these things to stop future wars. The Great War also teaches us to remember. Remembering the people who fought and died is important so we don't repeat the same mistakes. By learning from the past, we can try to make a more peaceful and fair world.